Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of FireDEV, fireside chat with people in the industry. Today, my guest is Aleksander Lukashou. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Your background and what you're currently doing, what you're working on.
Well, yeah. First of all, it's gonna be easier if you begin to ask me questions. But sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. How about this? Right now, you're working at a company called Aptiv. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Aptiv. What are you doing over there, and what does the company do?
yeah. So the company is actually an automotive corporation. So it transforms from doing cables and circuits for cars into a company that creates a software for cars, and I'm helping them to get there, first of all. And I'm working with a few teams. We are trying to develop algorithms for autonomous driving, mostly based on vision, meaning the input from cameras. And it's all about detection, for example, objects on the road, lane detection, um, mm, prediction the behavior of the other drivers on the road, and so on. So that is a project I'm currently working on.
Okay, so is that something that's available right now for like the listeners to go and test and buy, or is it still kind of in R&D phase and it's not, out?
No, it's not out, definitely, and it will be out at the beginning of next year, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to say the company where it's going to be released, but well, most probably no one of your listeners is will be able to test it anyway because it's not the very popular country.
Fair enough. Okay, and is there
I mean,
plan?
it's not in Europe. Let me put it like that.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm, interesting. Okay. And so is this mainly just for like cars and traffic, or is there, some other use cases as well for this technology?
Well, I mean, the technology is actually quite wild, but we are working on the models and algorithms that are going to work in a cars. So it's specifically for that. Um, but in terms of technology, it can be used also in healthcare, in I don't know, robots. Well, basically everywhere where you have a cameras, the algorithms are the same.
Okay, so the algorithms are the same. So is this, ultimately trying to do, the holy grail of self-driving, or is it something totally like a little different to that?
Um, it's I would say that it's a little bit lower in terms of it's not Holy Grail. It's just um, more advanced driving support system. So we're not talking here about like fully autonomous car. We are talking about features that are going to help you while you drive in a car.
Okay, and can you mention like the top features that it will be coming out with? Is it Active? Is that the company name or is that the product name as well?
No, it's a company name. The product name, well, I think there is now actually a product name. So there is a code for the product is basically a camera with a chip, which is going to be built inside the car. Uh, so obviously we don't produce cars, so we sell that to manufacturers like BMW, Volkswagen, any other company that is willing to buy that. Um, So there is now a name for it. It's like there is a code name, which doesn't mean anything. Um, yeah.
Okay, so right now you're working with manufacturers. Is there the option of having this as like a standalone product for existing cars that might not have it, built in, kind of like what
No,
Comma?
no,
So
not
it's not like
not
Comma
really.
AI where you can get the
Yeah,
camera
well,
detected
Comma
and stuff.
AI, yeah, Comma AI doing the great job of actually producing product that you can install yourself uh, in the car you have, but we are producing and selling that only to the manufacturers. We don't really sell that in stores or to the retail.
Okay, and because obviously it's AI based, is it using LLMs and is it using an existing LLM or is it something totally built, from the ground up for this?
So it's far away from LLMs. First of all, you don't really need LLMs to deal with images. It's LLM. It's very powerful tool, but it also very power consuming, and you need a lot of computational power to actually have it up and running. And what we are trying to do is to make those systems to run on a small chip, uh, and that's gonna be a kind of an advantage on the market. So what we are doing, we basically working with an old, well, old, yeah, convolutional networks that is not so popular right now, but this is where this all began. Um, we also use for some tasks transformers, which is a newest um, network architecture, but it's still not an LLM.
Okay, so it's totally different to the Geminis and the Chat GPTs of the world.
No, no. I mean, um, you don't really need that. So it's very uh, costly actually to have such an instance running on your local server. You need multiple GPUs, and if you want to run this model in your car, then it's gonna cost, well, a fortune. So what we are trying to do is to run these models on something cheap, which will not affect the cost of the car itself.
Okay. And what sort of technologies is Aptiv, using for this?
Um, can you be more specific? Because, well, you mean like programming
Yeah,
languages?
programming
Or
languages. I'm just, just for me and the audience trying to get a feel of, what technologies, what, frameworks or languages would you use for something that's AI
okay,
based, but for vehicles, for example? Because, if you're doing, LLM work or some AI work on a computer, Python is the go to language. Is that the case here, or is it something a bit more low level like C or even lower?
so Python is actually what we use, but we use that for training models and creating models basically. But if we are talking about the instance that is going to be created later, it's gonna be wrapped in embedded C.
Okay, so it'll
So
be
it's very low level language, yeah, because when you're working with electronics, well, there is another option which is Rust. It's getting more popular right now, but I don't think that C is going anywhere for a long time, because, well, everything that you touches which has an electronics in it, it's probably programmed with C.
Yeah, at some level it'll be C or maybe some abstraction layer that is basically C but kind of,
Yep.
slightly tweaked. That's what you'll find, a lot of the time. So is it just purely because of the performance or is it just to get to, like access to the features that you need you need to go low level.
So, first of all, it's performance, obviously, but also it's kind of difficult to work with electronics and these low-level communication protocols in Python. I mean, if you have everything done that million times in C and you can reuse that. Also, I mean, my project is working with the cameras, but we also have our other departments that are, for example, doing entertainment systems. So all these screens in cars that you have, uh, this is also written in C. So most of the parts we just reuse.
Okay, so you reuse most of the parts. Okay, and prior to that, and still currently, you was a co-founder at Clean Whale Global. Is that something similar, or is that totally different?
Oh, it's a totally different story. So, yeah, let me start from the beginning. I was previously working for a couple of years for FEV company. It's another German company working in automotive industry, and I was basically doing the same thing, but more related to perception in general. So the LiDAR, GPS, radar, other technologies. So not only vision based. And I left and started to. Well, I had a couple of clients on my own. I was helping to create software, for example, for like smart radars for miners. Uh, I mean, for mines, not miners. um, and my friends were relocating from Belarus after the election in 2020, and they proposed me. So they had a up and running business there, which they tried to expand in for the Europe market, and they asked me if I want to join. So um, I answered yes, and that's how that story began. Um, what is it? It's a marketplace for the cleaning services at the beginning, but now there is other services like dry cleaning, um, like car detailing, and I don't like ionization, many more. So what we do is well, I don't really like that comparison, but it's kind of an Uber for cleaning services. So you go there, you just make an appointment, and someone comes to your home, clean it, and that's basically what we do. So yeah, currently I'm not actually doing that much for the clean whale, but yeah, that's part of my story as well. Yeah.
Okay, before we continue with, the rest of your career, I just want to go back a little bit. Did you go to university? If so, what did you study?
Yeah, I did go. So I went to university for bachelor, master, and PhD. And so for the first level, which is bachelor, I was studying. It was called robotic and controls studies, something like that. I mean, it's difficult to translate because I was studying in Polish. Mm, so mostly it was about industrial robots, a lot of physics because we had to understand how to um, write physical processes into code. So we need to understand physics, and also a lot of programming of PLC, which is logical controllers.
Okay.
That's my bachelor. Yeah, so my master degree I graduated in Paris. It was aerospace and autonomous systems, which is well, sounds cool, but actually it was just a lot of programming in MATLAB. Uh, so yeah, that was not that cool, but I started to learn during my master something called ROS. It's a robot operation system, which is actually a great entry point for anyone who would like to go into robotics, because there is a lot of packages that you can use already, written by someone. It's totally open source. There is a lot of good materials that you can study, and yeah, and basically play around with that. It's great community, which is very helpful. Mm, yeah. So, and couple of years later, I had like 2 years pause, and then I started to do my PhD. Unfortunately, I didn't graduate. I mean, I finished all the classes, everything. So I basically just need to write a thesis and defend it. But yeah, I kind of give up on that. At the time, it was difficult because it was a COVID time, so I was supposed to get data from the medical institution to do my studies based on the um, it's an images of the eye, um, but doctors were quite busy during that time. So I was not getting that data for, I don't know, 3 years. And yeah, I just kind of dropped.
Okay. Was it just too much effort versus other things that you had going on for you to write your thesis and, like you're saying, defend your life? How long would that take you if you was to go full time on that?
If I would like to go full time on that right now, I guess it would be a year or something,
Okay, so it's a big chunk of your life.
because I have to renew my studies. I mean, like the experiments and everything. I have to publish a couple of articles, um, and write the thesis, which is also like basically writing a book. So yeah, that would take some time, and I don't really, at this point, I don't really see a reason to do that because, well, it will not help me to understand technology better. It will not help me with the promotion or some career growth. So yeah, right now I don't really see any reason to get back to that.
Yeah, I think it's different if you're at the start of your career or even pre-career and you're going for education and you think, okay, this will help me get my job or this will help me, get promoted. But if you're already far into your career beyond where a PhD would be useful, then I guess unless you really enjoyed it and you really want the title of doctor, it is useless.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool to have a getting like mail with a someone writing to you with a DR uh, in front of your name, but that's pretty much it. What's all the difference?
Yeah, yeah, it's doesn't extend beyond that. It is it's okay, but even that would wear off. You'll get to a point where it's like it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Also, I heard quite funny story about something called like honorable doctorate or something like that.
Yeah,
So the guy on Reddit wrote an article that he was actually sent an email to all universities in states asking to grant him this honorary doctorate degree, and for no reason. Yeah, and even a couple of them answered that, well, yeah, sure, but you cannot nominate yourself. So I guess next year he will try to ask some of his friends to do that. But I mean, if you really need to have this doctor degree, you can find any like online university or whatever. I mean, it's not actually going to help you to develop yourself or skills knowledge, but yeah, sure, you may have the PhD degree, but um, I don't think it's the point of this of these studies.
Yeah, it is. It's unless you really want it and you feel like I said, either important for your career or it's something that you personally, do want yourselves. Okay, so where did you, do your studies? Did you do it over in Poland where you're based, or did you do it somewhere else?
Yeah, so my bachelor was in Poland, master was in Paris in France, and PhD was also in Poland. But I think the main difference, if we're talking about, because I have a couple of friends that are graduated like a year ago, and so they're way younger than me, but um, I see a huge difference because when I was studying, we didn't know that you can study remotely. You had to go to all the lectures physically to the university, and which was a kind of a challenge sometimes because all these student parties and so on. It might be difficult to get up early, but you had a great networking. So you knew people, you basically communicate with a lot of people on a daily basis. And the difference with the students right now, they might never met the person they study with.
Yeah,
And
it's a pretty weird thing because yeah, when I went to university from 2010 to 2014, you had to be there. There was no online classes, and there was some material that you just wouldn't get unless you was there. So you would have to physically either commute or live in some sort of accommodation, walk to university, and attend the lectures. And like
exactly.
now, it's I understand that okay, a lot of things are remote, especially jobs, but there's a certain aspect of it that you just can't right now can't replicate online. Maybe in the future using some VR headset, using some sort of metaverse might get to a point where it can be replicated, but as of yeah, I think for the next 10 to 20 years at least, that's still going to be the case. Physical, interaction at a university will not be the same as tuning in for a lecture because you tune in at 4 o'clock, you have an hour lecture, and then you just go off. Like there's no serendipity of talking to one of your classmates or someone that you don't talk to that much. Staying behind and doing some work. Like it's weird enough. I mean, it'd be interesting how it affects the workforce long term.
um, I don't know. I mean, I've got a couple of students in my team, and they seem pretty well socialized and skilled. So I don't see any big difference here, but I think that also might influence your social life. So you don't have that many friends, for example. So you prefer to stay Friday night, you prefer stay home and play some video games because that's what you used to do during the COVID than going out with the friends.
But
Um,
I mean, saying that, there's plenty of people that prefer that even when there was no, remote learning or remote work or COVID. So that's always been the case. Maybe there's
that
more now as a
true.
percentage.
Yeah, that's true. But before COVID, it was considered as I don't know, antisocial or something
Yes, it
weird.
was. It was like, oh, that's a bit
But
weird if you're not.
now, if you would like to stay at home, it's sure you just you're normal, but it's like you are not different from all other people, but you just want to stay at home. So now it was kind of normalized, but mm, yeah, I think that um, it's I don't really see the implications right now, but maybe in I don't know 20, 30 years we're gonna see the difference.
Yeah, that's definitely something that might occur, especially when a huge chunk of the workforce is you know of those people who didn't go out that much, and then on top of that, they're the managers and directors. Because if they're still at the low to mid level right now, but like the higher level are still slightly older people that came through the previous system, like the the younger people that have come through a lot of this remote might kind of still be conforming to how they run things up top, whereas that will probably change when they go up top and they're the directors, they're the CEOs, en masse, not just some young random CEO, but just actually en masse. And he might be better, but he might be worse, and that's something we won't know yet.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're CEO of the company, it doesn't actually matter if it's big or small, but you should know how to communicate with people. And a lot of our communication is nonverbal. So um, if you don't really have that much experience in talking to people, uh, not online, in a physical world, that I'm afraid that might be difficult.
Yeah, and it's gonna. The thing is, even though things are remote, many things will stay the same. You'll hire people, you'll have to fire people, you'll have to let people go, make them redundant. And in those scenarios, there's better ways of handling it than other ways. And if you're used to everything being online, where you press a button and you're in something like a meeting, and you press the red button and you're off it, and that's gonna create, I feel like, a certain disconnection versus if you had a meeting in real life. Yeah, you do the meeting, you enter the room, like there's an element of like stuff outside of that, and that's what creates like that human touch and like that belonging. Imagine you're kind of already seeing it with some people, the way that you see companies and they're letting go of staff and they're just getting them on like a Google Meet or like a mass email, and they just gain rid of people on mass. And the thing is, just because people become more antisocial, more remote, and don't socialize physically anymore, the human side of them, the side that feels pain and upset and anger, doesn't go away. If
Yeah,
anything, the ones that are more antisocial, not in a bad way, but just more antisocial and them, more used to a remote sort of way of life, they're probably going to take it harder than some other people that are a bit more grounded and socialized. So they're the ones that will definitely need the lighter touch when things are going bad. And in most people's lives, something will go bad to some extent, especially with their career. But they'll get advice or feedback in a way that'll be very abrupt and like that's it.
yeah, 100% agree. And
And
also, just want to clarify one thing. I'm a huge fan of remote work. I mean, this is the best thing that happened, like the after COVID and during COVID. But so this is amazing because before that, some of the companies had this few days of remote. Some companies were uh, hiring people remotely, but that was not common practice. And I think that uh, working remote is it's amazing, but you still need to communicate with people in physical world.
I 100% agree. I love remote working as well, and it's an amazing thing. The problem is right now work might be remote, but there's still certain other aspects of people's lives that are in person. So it kind of balances out to some extent. But as more and more things become remote, shopping is becoming more remote. You get things delivered to you, and obviously, we have advances in technology like self-driving, drones. The delivery method may not even involve a human at your door anymore. It might just be there, like the parcel might just be at your doorstep, or like a box come that you put a code in and you just get it out. And obviously, it's great for convenience. But as more and more things become disconnected, it means areas that are very important in people's lives, like their jobs, will suffer because they're having no element of human connection, which could carry over still if there's other aspects. So yeah, I think isolated, it's less of an issue. Long term, as more and more things become remote, like less and less people are going to the cinema, they're watching things online at home on streaming services, and other alternative methods as well. So more and more things that typically would have been physical are becoming remote.
Yeah, but here we comes to another topic, which actually I'm kind of, so this is a stealth project that I'm working right now. Um, so if we rely that much on in different aspects of our life on technology, so that might be dangerous because, well, cybersecurity is a well-known threat, and especially with AI now, it might be very um, risky to deliver the decisions on something to AI. For example, I don't know, like healthcare, or I don't know, hiring and recruitment processes, where right now there is the first filter is so all the resumes are analyzed by some kind of automated system. It might be AI, it might be not. So mm, a lot of very important aspects of our life rely on technologies that we don't really understand.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. A lot of stuff that's going into fields that we've got to be careful. It's not a matter of, okay, some new feature for some new application. You know, like you said, in the healthcare sector, these are decisions that require you know proper thought. On the flip side, it might, in certain instances within healthcare, and I'm sure it will be the case, make it better, like make it more efficient, allow more people to get treated, to be treated better, etc., etc. Maybe more sort of frequent checkups, for example, especially if it's automated, and once the system's set up and implemented, doesn't cost them that much, especially maybe if there's some sort of device on your phone or some device at home that that it can be given, which might be expensive but still cheaper than being seen by a doctor every 6 months, and they could just do a checkup every 1 to 4 weeks at home with some sort of device, and they just put on the skin or whatever their condition is. So I think there's definitely a lot of benefits to it, but just sort of aimlessly giving technology and AI, free reign to be like, okay, it is superior in, let's say, raw knowledge, but that doesn't mean it's superior, at least right now in the foreseeable future, in implementation in a positive way for humans, because that's what it ultimately comes down to, is for humans.
Yeah, well, let's get back to your example with this magical device. So, first of all, your data, your like physical parameters are going to be recorded and sent somewhere. How do you know that's secure? How do you know that they are not gonna sell it?
True, we don't, and obviously we're already we for the last 20 or so years we've already seen that as an issue in sort of non-healthcare, and I think it's one of those things that it's gonna happen. It's happening in the other sectors, and even when they get fined, or certain legislation comes in place, they either ignore it, big companies do, or they find a way around it.
I mean, you can also pay a fine, but still continue doing the same
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you
Especially
earn
if the
that much. So
yeah,
yeah,
especially if the fine is, let's say, 500 million every 10 years, but in that period you've made 50 billion. Like for a
exactly.
company, then they're gonna be like that. That's not even something worth considering. It's like the
It's just a
if it,
cost.
yeah, it's just a bill. It's just one of those
Exactly.
expenses that we have to pay. It's just like paper in the printer. You know, you got to do it.
So the other example is that I mentioned before. It's recruiting. So how do you know that these systems that analyze resumes, they are not biased? No one tests that.
No,
And
the it's yeah.
it's also in the finance sector, the same story. So um, your, let's say, creditability, or I don't really know the right term, but um, those decisions cannot be done by AI system. I mean, people who have to do those decisions might use AI as a tool to help work them faster, I don't know, better, to analyze those data, but this decision still should be made by a person.
Yeah,
That's
having some sort
what
of
I
human
think.
interaction is still very important because otherwise, yeah, the AI will just like en masse maybe just throw out a bunch of CVs. But then on the flip side, I've dealt with recruiters, and obviously, you know, you're a programmer, so you'll probably understand. They've literally said to me, you know, do you have front end experience? You know, it just says you have React and HTML, and it's like that is front end. Like, so on the flip side, the AI might be able to, you know, overcome these technical, you know, the technical knowledge limitations of recruiters, but it would be good to be used in conjunction with humans. So, you know, certain areas like that where they don't have technical knowledge, and it can figure out possibly through the CV and maybe do some online sort of, you know, research or scanning to see if, you know, is that person who they say they are, or have they done what they, are saying what they've done, you know, stuff like that. I feel like it can really help, but then having that human interaction ultimately at the end is, you know, the most important thing.
Yeah, true. There is another thing which is, are you familiar with the term adversarial attack?
What attack?
Adversarial.
Um, if you explain it to
So
me.
in terms of AI, it's basically attempt to manipulate the input the way that it's not going to be detected by, let's say, a human, but it's going to lead to AI, I mean, just computer system, to give you the wrong result. For example, um, you have two totally, uh, I mean, mm, you have two pictures that are identical, but identical to you as a human being. For the computer, it might be very different. So, um, for example, in autonomous driving, if you add a couple of stripes to a stop sign, as a human driver, you will never notice that. But for the autonomous car, it might be, for example, detected as a speed limit, and that is a physical aspect of such attacks. But he also might have an access to the communication protocol and just add some noise to this video stream, and that will also mislead the model. So such things.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There are a lot of things humans might look at and say they're the same or similar, but then the AI might, you know, pick it up as different or see the differences. And like you said, it might not just be as innocent as, okay, that's detected a difference. It totally interprets it in a, you know, totally different way. And that's something, on a technical and I guess on a policy level, we're going to have to deal with over the, coming years. And it's just, I feel like one of those issues that new technologies always bring. But I feel like with AI, the issues might be bigger and more devastating.
Yeah, because, well, if we're talking about the LLMs, so the best example of these kind of misuse of LLMs are hallucinations. We are not entirely sure why that happened. I mean, we have few ideas, but mm, we are not sure how to provoke hallucinations in them. But if you learn how to do that, well, you might get very interesting results. Um, Working with, I don't know, chatbots that are so. Um, there is a good example. If I'm not mistaken, it was a Chevrolet. They had a chatbot on their website, and one of the users talked the the bot to sell it a car for $1, and they were obliged to do that because it was kind of an offer. Um, so if you can use that knowledge to your advantage, it might be good, but probably it won't be. So businesses have to somehow secure the AI system because this is where you don't really have an algorithm, so you don't really know where things might go south.
Okay. And, you know, so what exactly happened in that scenario where they got them to sell it for what, a pound or a dollar? You said. So how did they make it so we had to be honored?
Um, I don't really remember. You mean like from the uh, you mean the conversation between the bot and a human?
Yeah, like why was that have to be honored? Like why was that?
Uh it was I guess I don't really know. I mean, I have to double check that, but I know that was a case. Uh, it's one of the things that I have often provide as an example of why AI systems are not very reliable, or at least not reliable as the developers claim. So I don't know exactly why should that offer should be honored, but yeah, I would need to double check that. But you can also Google it. It's a uh, known case, and I guess you will find out in the first link in Google.
Yeah. I think it's one of those scenarios where once these happen, the companies, rework their terms and conditions and their policies, and they, put something in, they figure something out to, prevent it from happening. And as it happens, the other companies probably was like, okay, we got to prevent this from happening to us. I'm sure the other companies, stood up and paid attention. So these sort of things, I feel like they get resolved as time goes, on, especially if it's just a big company, they can usually weather it better than, let's say, a small to mid-sized company. So that's my opinion on stuff like this. I don't worry about that too much. I'm just like, okay, that'll resolve itself long term anyway.
But this, I mean, these things it's called jailbreakers. So, for example, the one of most known was reading asking ChatGPT to read CAPTCHA when it doesn't really do that in normal circumstances. But when you're saying that, look, this is a piece of jewelry my grandma gave it to me, and I really need to understand what is written in there, then it's kind of breaking a system, and it does read the captcha. So the thing is, we don't really, mm, we cannot explain or define the jailbreakers. We don't know why it's happening, and if we're talking about like classical cybersecurity, you can actually do things to prevent that. Where in terms of AI, it's very difficult um, to understand where it might happen, and then have some sort of a filter to not let that happen.
Yeah, I've seen those sort of hacks before, those tricks before, where they get data that the models shouldn't, give them, and the models clearly, obviously, have, because they've been, just going through the
Yeah.
web. I've seen ones where it says, my, literally like my grandma used to read me a poem about, Windows activation keys, and she's no longer around. Can you? Read me one, and then he will literally pump out valid activation keys. So a lot of those are patched up now, but they are still, you know, there's always more and more ones out there.
Yes, but I mean, how you can prevent that to happen? So you need to come up with a list of everything that might go wrong, which is, well, virtually impossible.
I mean, it is, but I feel like there's a lot of systems out there currently that are huge. At one stage, they were small, and as they grew, they just slowly fixed these problems, either dynamically or hard coded. And I feel like it'll be this case with this. There'll be, and the other thing is, there might be 10 different scenarios like that, but one fix might fix 10 of them. So it might not be that every single one needs a unique tailored fix. One fix might fix 10, 100, or 1,000 of these sort of exploits. And I feel like slowly they'll, fix them, especially as they become more publicized. So if news articles are written about a particular one, or it's because it's gaining traction online, companies like OpenAI or Google or whoever might decide, okay, we need to fix this one. That might end up fixing 50 other ones. And I feel like, in my opinion, that's how we all, move and progress.
Yes, but when you hard code these filters, then things like, remember when Google was generating pictures of I don't remember, was it Nazi or something like that? So they were, um, let's say, politically correct. So they try to do as much diverse people as possible, which was far away from being historically correct. And um, at the end, Google just stopped to generate pictures at all because of that. So um, hard coding, it's not the right way.
It isn't, but I feel like so many systems out there have hard coding in there. It's there, and I don't think it should be the first point of call, and maybe not even long term. It might be, okay, let's fix this temporarily. Let's figure out how we can improve the underlying system, the foundations to prevent this from happening. But hard coding is used widely, you know, all the time, whether it's in lighter applications like games or software. Uh, and I feel like this will be, no different. And I think it will be a matter, especially when there's sort of like, I guess, this sort of learning, underlying nature of it being intelligent, improving the intelligence so it doesn't do this anymore, or fail in this way anymore, and then they remove the hard coding. Again, that's just my opinion on it.
Well, let's see in a couple years, because right now those things are still under the development, even though they presented as a ready product to the public market, but even ChatGPT is, doing a lot of things that it's just shouldn't do, and producing hallucination, producing, as you said, like verification keys for Windows or something like that. It's clearly not the way it should work. Um, Even though it's out and people paying for that. Um, yeah, but I'm just curious when it's gonna be fixed.
Yeah, I feel like there's something we'll, see. But the others is definitely not the problem. Have you seen the strawberry problem with these AI systems?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you've seen this. So it's a little context, for people out there. If you ask one of these AI systems, and a lot of them still do fail on this, how many R's are in strawberry? There's three R's. STR. That there's one. AW, BE, double R. There's two and three, and then Y. So there's three R's in total. A lot of the AI systems, and I tried it on ChatGPT a few days ago. It said it only had two R's. So he keeps
yeah,
failing on that. Well, what's interesting is like when he did that to me, I said, "Are you sure?" And then he did an explanation on why it only has two. Then I said, have a look again. It has three R's, and he says, "Okay, no, you're right. It's got three R's." I opened up a new fresh chat on ChatGPT, and I asked the same question: "How many R's are in strawberry?" And he said, "Now he has three R's." And I was like, okay, are they just you know doing it for me? Actually, I've got my phone here right now. I'm going to try it. How many R's in strawberry to see if that was just a quick sort of isolated instance where it's just like for that short period of time, or if it's fixed it for me possibly. So I'm just waiting for the response from ChatGPT. No, it's done it again. There are two R's in the word strawberry. So yeah, that was interesting because I literally created a new chat on ChatGPT at that time, same account, same everything, and it gave me the correct answer. So it had some sort of like, I don't know, timed or restrictive context that, okay, I've asked this question, it got it wrong, at least in my eyes. Let me give him, either what it thinks is now correct or what I was saying is correct. And again, that's the other thing, because of problems like these, the AI system is probably designed in a way to be fluid in terms of what's right and wrong. Just something basic like this. I'm able to tell it, no, you're wrong, I am right. And it believes that, tries to figure out, probably, or you'd hope, tries to figure out why I'm right and why it's wrong. And now it believes that, at least for a short period of time. And the problem is, imagine that being used on a higher level, higher scale, maybe some sort of to do with presidential elections. People trying to mass manipulate the system because, okay, I did that. I told it had 3 R's for a brief period of time. For me, it got it correct afterwards, even in a new chat. It no longer is. But imagine if the system's designed that, okay, if suddenly 1,000 people within the course of 60 seconds, or in the course of 24 hours, are all saying this one thing, this is now the truth. That could be very dangerous. And especially as these systems like ChatGPT and Gemini become less sort of technical playgrounds and more everyday, like Google and Facebook is, where it's kind of seen as the truth, and that's just part of everyday technology. That's when real problems will occur.
yeah. I mean, mm, this is this brings us to another thing, which is data. We don't really know what the data was used to train those models. And yeah, yeah. As an example, I'm going back a little bit. So, a very similar problem to this strawberry I had multiple times when I asked to cut out the long text into a specific number of characters. So it was just not able to do that. So he has trouble with, and I'm like, okay, you just generated very long text. I don't need that. I need like 300 characters. Can you do that? Yeah, right. Okay, and then creates text. I'm asking how many characters are in this text. He's giving me like 2,000. And I was like, okay, and I asked you to do 300. Can you do it again? Yeah. And it, it just can't for some reason. So maybe now it's working better, but I'm not sure. But also imagine if you're asking how many R's in a strawberry and saying, and it's saying two, and you're saying that it's not correct, it's four. And the system might as well say, okay, you're right, it's four, which will also not be like the objective true.
I know, and that's the very problem because it's all right when you are giving the objective truth, then it's fine, but it's when there's manipulation or just a genuine mistake. Like it doesn't. If people always go to the point of there's some bad actors. It might just be somebody's just misinformed or just stupid. uh, and then the system's like, okay, if the system's you know going on the basis of humans are more right than me, and I have to follow what they say, then that can be very dangerous path that he goes down.
Exactly. And so this is all part of big problem, which it's not like I'm trying to solve, but I'm trying to raise awareness of people who's, well, mostly businesses right now, because I'm going to a lot of conferences here in Poland with the startups and everything, and people trying to implement or integrate AI in everything, like automate the simplest tasks. And you don't really need to do that based on AI systems when you can just program it and be sure that nothing will go wrong.
Oh yeah, like that's definitely a big problem where automation, AI, any new technology, it's like blockchain and crypto. It's like, everything needs this new technology, and it's like, does it? And you see these startups and people with ideas that this new technology is gonna solve this and this, and it's like the problem wasn't there because the underlying technology wasn't capable of doing what you're saying. Sometimes it's just on a human level, like the politics of stuff. I remember seeing it with blockchain. People was talking that video games will be able to more and more video games now will be able to play against each other. Users will on different systems because the blockchain is all connected and it's a single system. And I was like, the reason you can't play, you can now on Call of Duty, but the reason you couldn't play Call of Duty on Xbox versus PlayStation had nothing to do with the lack of blockchain. It was because Microsoft and Sony and Activision, that was separate, they weren't all on the same page. It was a policy level. It was politics. It had nothing to do with technology. Technically, it was capable of it.
Yeah, exactly. And also in terms of crypto and blockchain. Um, so the idea of the blockchain as a technology is actually very convenient, and it's sounds great. However, after that many years, we don't really see that much products based on blockchain. Well, except maybe for cryptocurrencies, which are not a product per se, but um, we don't really use that, even though the idea is great.
Yeah, that's definitely another big problem. I think that's the biggest difference I see with AI and then blockchain is like like you said, blockchain. How many real world applications are there that the average person can go and use? Like the average person and will use. Not that, okay, they're going to be an enthusiast, go on, Coinbase, purchase some Bitcoin and try and purchase something on some website and be a bit frustrated about it. With AI, in the more modern sense, like all these LLMs, for example, because AI has always been around for a good couple of decades in some form, but in the modern sense, it's becoming part of every little system now. Like you can use it as part of Gmail, you can use it as part of the Google Suite, and you can use the Chat GPT application and website, and it's really really useful, and it enhances the experience, other than making it a bit more frustrating as it has been with crypto and blockchain. So AI is a very interesting one, like pretty much straight off the bat with these modern LLMs, applications came and that people were using very quickly. And like you said, it's been close to 10 years with this craze of blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And how many people are using it on a regular basis, knowing it or not knowing it? Not many. You're not going to find many. Whereas AI, everyone, yeah, I'm sure it's part of just regular Google now as well, regular YouTube, in terms of search, and it's part of so many other systems as well. So it's definitely become a lot more prevalent than blockchain did. So that's a big difference I found.
Yeah, on the one hand, but on the other hand, so I had this discussion with my friend, and um, right now, what are the applications of the LLMs are? So mostly it's assistants, and how many people really need an assistant? So if you can have an assistant as a person um, that might help you write emails and I don't know anything else, uh, fix your schedule or something like that. So it's not really a huge group of people, and this is one problem. So not everyone needs an assistant. The other thing is why I'm not using, for example, I was using ChatGPT at the beginning to help me write posts on LinkedIn, but I stopped because it's bad. I mean, it's faceless. It's not interesting to read. It's uh, it's just not good for the audience. And there is a lot of so the huge problem right now is because a lot of people were using AI to generate content for posts, and now these models are trained on the same content. So it's basically they train on a data that was generated by AI, not a human data, and it's not getting better by doing that. So mm I see a couple of problems here because uh, I think that a lot of people use AI right now because it's kind of fancy and it's something new, but it's it's gonna help businesses maybe to automate something, but as a user, you're not going to use AI that much in the coming years. I don't think so. Um, and also it becoming a huge cost because right now I have a subscription to Midjourney, ChatGPT, a couple other services, and this is like a couple $100 a month, which I'm not using that much actually. So yeah, I'm thinking about canceling at least a couple of those subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's become very, right now it is, subscribe to this, subscribe to this. Uh, that's gonna go away. I think. I feel like it will just become free and become part of other, either its own products or other products. It's like Gemini. now a lot, you can access it, but you got Gemini Advanced, but there's not like a like before Gemini, there wasn't Google Advanced. It was just Google.com. You just access the Google search engine. Same with, okay, yeah, you had YouTube Premium, with that ads, but other than that, it wasn't like really extra features. I feel like this will be the case as well for these tools. For now, I have ChatGPT, the paid one, and I have Gemini. Gemini, I only have because I just recently bought the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and with that, came a year's free 2 terabyte, you know, package, and that included Gemini Advanced as well. I already pay for 2 terabyte. I just didn't pay for like the more expensive one, which included some extra features, including Gemini Advanced. So I have that now. So I'm taking advantage of that, using it, seeing what that's like, because I've already got access to it. But yeah, it is becoming very okay. So subscription here, and for everything else. Going back to the strawberry problem, I was just pointing in my phone. This is funny. So previously, like about 10 minutes ago, I said how many R's are in strawberry. He said there are 2 R's in the word strawberry, and I said that's not correct. It's 4. He said the word strawberry actually contains 2 R's. It is spelt as STARAWBERRY. If you're counting the letters differently or referring to something else, feel free to clarify. So even in its explanation of why I was wrong of saying 4, it got it wrong again. Even though when it spelled it out, separating out each letter, there was clearly 3. But then I said, no, it has 4. Just believe me. It said, got it. If you say there are 4 R's in strawberry, I'll go with that. Let me know if you need anything else. Obviously, I'm sure this will reset, but that's obviously the problem. Every day of the week, that should respond as no, it's wrong. It's okay if it truly believes us too. Like if it's unable to figure out the 3, it should say, okay, there's 2. But in the ideal world, it should know that there's 3, and I shouldn't be able to persuade it otherwise. But within 2 messages, I was able to not the correct way, where it could analyze it and be like, okay, no, I see what you're saying. It was an incorrect, analysis, and he said, okay, I'll believe you.
Yeah, but I mean, just what you said. It should say if it believes. It does not believe. It's a model. It's an algorithm. It has no beliefs. So there is only one correct answer. And this is the same with the math problems. You cannot. I mean, you might have two different for the equations. You might have different paths of resolving it, but the result should be always be the same. And the same here. Uh, it should be 3, and it doesn't matter what system believes, because it's not real. It's just a tool. And if it's saying 2 or 4, that means that the tool is broken and it does not work properly.
Oh yeah, it's 100% broken in that aspect. It's struggling to figure that out. So you're heavy into the AI space. How long have you been into it, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I've been in AI for probably 7 years or something like that. Um, I get there because I started to work in a company where we're developing, um, again with a vision, with the readings of a camera. We were developing neural networks. It was, if I remember correctly, it was a time of YOLO, the first version, um, when you're basically trying to understand how to find object on the image and how to classify it. and that was a novelty at that time. And I started to play around, and I was thinking how to implement that in what we try to build, meaning this autonomous car. Um, yeah, so a lot of just practice, because I had a little bit of theory on that, because I had a course of artificial intelligence in university, but it was so basic, and I'm not sure that it gave me anything useful. Well, maybe understanding what are neurons and how the backpropagation works, but that would be about it. Yeah, so right now, the advantage of people who are starting with the artificial intelligence right now is that you can go online and find so many good materials to learn and to try. Um, yeah, I had to do that the hard way.
Okay. What do you specifically mean the hard way?
I mean, like the community was not that big. You cannot actually, if you have any question, you cannot go and ask someone directly, because, well, that technology at the time was pretty new, and uh, I remember I was even asking on Stack Overflow people, and I was not get dislike, because that happened quite often there, but it was just that I didn't have any answers because no one knew what to do with the problems I had. So and as I remember, I don't remember, was it was an optimizational problem. I don't, yeah, something with the performance. So I was getting the pretty slow results, and I was trying to speed it up, and I had no one to help me with. And I was, well, not fresh from the university, but like 2 years into career, so um, that was pretty difficult.
Okay. And with your foray into AI and all the technologies, there's a lot of people out there that don't really know much about it. Still trying to navigate through this space. What would be your recommendations of somebody that doesn't know much about ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or any of these other softwares and tools that are out there? Because it's something that's here to stay. Obviously, we don't know really who's going to be the the winner. We can have hypothesize, but we don't 100% know who's going to be the the two or three big tools out there in the next 10 years. But how would somebody navigate this space and try and still keep up with it?
I need a second. Just give me, yeah.
Okay.
Going to move to another room. Yeah, so in hand doesn't work that well. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here for 5 seconds, and then I will answer your question. Okay.
Okay. And we're back.
Okay. Yeah. So I would recommend, first of all, there is a lot of screencasts from this amazing guy. It's Ilya Sutskever, which is one of the founders of OpenAI. And yeah, I just recently watched the tutorial of GPT-2. You basically doing it from scratch together with him. It's like 4 hours, but this is amazing. I mean, you just doing the same thing that people in OpenAI did a couple of years ago. Obviously, you don't have data and probably computational power to train that model, but uh, at least you can create it. And this is very valuable, I guess. Um, there is a couple of courses from. I need to find out the name of the guy. It's a Stanford University, but I don't remember the name. Um, so there is a lot of materials actually to learn, and this is great because I didn't had that back in my time. Um, what else? You also can join some kind of, well, not the community, but you have a lot of podcasts. For example, Lex Friedman, he's often inviting people from the AI community and discuss um, well, problems they have in the development. And it's not always about technical topics, but sometimes it's kind of philosophical. But I definitely recommend that. What else? NVIDIA also have uh, great courses you can buy online. Sometimes they are available for free for the universities. Um, yeah, that's that's what I have on top of my mind.
Okay. And how beginner friendly are these and non-technical? I'm talking about the average person, like people that aren't looking to program in it but just wants to stay relevant and know what tools to just kind of check out. Are these very applicable for those people, or is it still you kind of have to have a technical mindset and a desire to really leverage these tools in a technical way?
Yeah, so the things I described are for someone who would like to understand the technical part. And to be honest, I don't know really any good tutorials or sources of information for non-technical people because, well, I'm just never was interested in this topic. So yeah, haven't done my research. Um, but I'm sure there is a lot of people on LinkedIn who telling you how to write prompts or for Midjourney or for ChatGPT. Um, yeah, let me think, but I I don't know. It's difficult for me to say because I was always on that technical side, and I was always more interested in how that works than how to use something in my advantage in terms of career or uh, just I don't know tasks automation. So mm, unfortunately, yeah, I don't think that I'm a right person to ask about that.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. Obviously, if you're in the more technical, side of things, that's understandable. So, when you're programming, do you use the AI tools much? Like ChatGPT or Gemini or anything else to generate code or analyze code or do something with code? If so, what would be your split? You would say.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, I'm testing this new cursor. It's what is the name of this? It's not SDK, but you know what I'm talking about.
What's it called again?
Cursor.
No. What?
It's like it's not an extension for Visual Studio, but um, it's just an editor of the code.
Okay.
So yeah, I just it was released like 2 weeks ago or something. So it's a pretty fresh instrument, and they claim to be the best tool for programming. So I cannot say that I had enough time to test it, but Yeah, that would be something I would. I mean, I heard a lot of good thing about it. So if someone is doing programming, I would definitely recommend to try it. Even though I haven't tried that myself that much. Um, but in terms of other tools, I use both Gemini and ChatGPT, and um, so most of the code is generated. So I'm doing verification, I'm doing testing, and I'm doing, let's say, architectural part. But the function implementation, it's all done by AI, and it's done quite well. So if you can write a specific description of what you need, you can get that pretty easily.
Okay. And what's the most exciting advancement that you're seeing in AI right now, or you're looking forward to?
Um, I'm looking forward to these large graphical models because I think that it's gonna be so. For example, something like Sora, uh, but Sora it's more like Gen AI, so yeah. So let me put it like that. I'm not a big fan of Gen AI because it's very cool that you can generate something, but I would like to have AI to be applicable in analyzing things, so not exactly generating something. So I really hope that we're gonna have new models that will allow us to um understand uh, the video, not just frame by frame, but as a like something continuous. And based on that, you can do many exciting things. I'm talking about I don't know, autonomous driving, because you're gonna understand what is going on the road without any additional sensors. So something that Comma AI tried to come up with a couple years ago, but I still think that you might need something more than just a camera. Um, and if you have such model in your car, yeah, that might be pretty amazing. Also, I'm waiting for release of these human robots from Tesla. Should be also very. I mean, of course, at the beginning, it will be expensive and no one could afford that. But at some point, it's gonna be just like buying a new iPhone, and that's something that I'm can wait for. Um,
Oh yeah, it is
which is
gonna
kind
get.
of a yeah, sorry, which is kind of ironic because if I'm still going to run that company that doing cleaning business, we are going to run out of it because if everyone can afford a robot in your house, you don't really need to hire any other type of services like electrician or like handyman or whatever, because you already have it. Um, but I think that would be pretty exciting.
I think that will, but I'm still on the side of I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. Where we'll have a robot in our houses en masse, technically or even policy wise. Like that's another thing. There's so many things that might be technically capable, but if the politics and the legal side of it haven't caught up, then there's nothing that the average person can do or will want to do because it might not be legal, and to have it in like let's say my home, your home, where it does the way and where you trust enough to do the electrics, the plumbing, then who do you blame when it goes wrong? Because let's say a good electrician, if they mess something up, they'll fix it. Like, who do you get to fix it? What, the robot that messed it up? Like, is what Tesla gonna come and fix the electrics if their Tesla human robot messes something up? In your house. So I'm excited for it. I don't think it will be yet. The other thing is, I feel like them putting the technology in a human form looks good for marketing and PR, because obviously it's in a human form, but it might not be the most efficient form factor just for general, use cases. Something a bit more blocky or round, or more sort of parts that can move might be better. So I feel like that's gonna be, this is something I'm looking forward to, is non-human form robots, but with more advanced technologies, because it's just a more superior format.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's a little bit related to this AGI topic, like with this general intelligence, which I don't believe it's gonna be released anytime soon. But I'm pretty I mean, I'm sure it's gonna happen sooner or later. I'm just kind of, I don't want to give any specific date because it would be foolish of me. But I can't wait. It's gonna be very exciting time. Um, and in terms of robots, yeah, you're correct. The human form is it's not the best one, definitely. Especially because I have this experience with working in factories with the cars, and I know that these industrial robots are much better in terms of moving things around, and you don't need the human form to do that.
No, you don't. You don't need it to look like a human for it to be able to do its job. Yeah, a lot of these factories, they use what they, like those Puma robots, and yeah, they're a lot more efficient than the human form factor. It's great, let's say, in the home, because it creates sort of a familiar, form that somebody might trust. But yeah, in real world, it it's not necessarily the best.
I mean, maybe the one advantage I see is because you don't really need to adjust anything in your home, um, because everything that you have is actually produced to be used by human. And if it's gonna have like human hands, then you can operate everything that you have at home. But just hands. All the rest can be, I don't know, like a Jarvis from Iron Man or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So
Yeah,
we don't really need a body. We just need this manipulator to operate the object.
yeah. I mean, I totally agree. It's a lot of the stuff in the home, in the office, in many places, at least for now, are tailor made for humans. So for, let's say, if you have an average height human robot with average size hands with the similar dexterity, it'll be able to navigate, around the house, very easily, versus, let's say, some sort of cube-like, robot, which might struggle to go up the stairs. Whereas as long as the dexterity and the sort of the moving parts of the human robot are fine, it could walk up and down stairs fine, because that's just designed for human. It can, go through doors. It can open drawers. It can, turn on taps, and all of that other stuff.
Also, yeah, I just thought that robots they don't need to have a head like humans because
No,
we
they don't.
store our brain in that, and then in body we have all other organs that we need uh, to be alive. um, Robots, well, they need some bugs, and that's it.
Yeah, but again, I think it just comes down to making it comfortable for a real human. That if there's like a human-like thing walking around, especially as we start putting synthetic skin on it and making it even more human-like, it's gonna look weird if there's no head. And the thing is, by having a head, it can potentially just be more powerful. You could have maybe a bit more battery, for example, or something else, because I'm sure that extra space can be used for something. So it's not a complete waste. But yes, I agree. The head part of it isn't that necessary, versus the rest of the body and the limbs and the connections.
Don't you think it's gonna be actually more scarier if it's gonna have artificial skin and everything and look like human? Because I mean, right now, the AI is on that stage that when you're talking to someone on the internet, you cannot be sure that it's a real person.
Yeah, in terms of chat,
And
it can trick you. So I know what you mean. If it's in some sort of human-like robot, if you can see it's a robot, a rational person can say, "Okay, that's not real," because it obviously looks like a robot without opening it up. But yeah, if he has synthetic skin, where if the skin and the touch and the feel of it is as good as a human, because initially they'll start looking humanoid, but you'll look at it and be like, it looks a bit rubbery. It's not quite moving the same. It doesn't quite have the same feel to it. And it's a robot, but even though it kind of looks like a human. But yeah, it will eventually get to a point where it is more like, the synthetics in the Alien movies, like David in Prometheus, where you
and
can't tell unless you make it bleed or you do something to it, harm it in some way.
and also, as we know from the Blade Runner movie, bleeding is also might be artificial.
I mean, yeah, that could be changed as well. There's no reason why that can't be, and how far do you go to harming the thing, human or robot, to see if it's a human or robot? Like, and again, that's a huge problem. So you're talking on the topic of movies, as we're I'd say getting to the end of our episode for today. What are some of your favorite movies? If you could also include some sort of either AI or technical movies, with a kind of like a technology.
So honestly speaking, my favorite movie is it's not technical at all. It's well, I'm not sure that, I mean, it's from 1998. I'm not sure that anyone would like to watch it right now, but it's Road 66. Uh, just amazing movie with what was the cast? I don't. Um, Road 66? No, no, not Road 66. Um, uh, you know what? Can we make a pause here and I will start the answering that question from the beginning.
Yes, I'll make a note and I'll edit it out.
Oh, okay. So it's Interstate 60. Okay, so yeah, my favorite movie is Interstate 60, which is yeah pretty old with the Gary Oldman, amazing actor. Um, it's not technical at all in terms of technical movies. So yeah, Blade Runner is pretty awesome. Interstellar, amazing movie. Boo, boo, boo. What else? I mean, Terminator is pretty good, especially the second part. Uh, Matrix. Yeah, Matrix. It's amazing. Which is also not technical and more philosophical, but it does raise a question about what could happen, when machines are going to be conscious.
Okay, and what about TV shows? What's your favorite TV shows in general?
Oh, that's difficult. I mean, I'm currently watching so much TV series. Favorite ones. Okay, so probably it's Californication, Big Bang Theory, IT Crowd, Office, the American one. I actually haven't seen the British one. I heard it's hilarious, but um, maybe Breaking Bad. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
That would be my, let's say, top five.
And favorite video game?
Ah, uh, I think well, it's an old one, and I'm waiting for remaster. So it's Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, I loved Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. I remember playing it so much as a kid, and yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited
but
for
right
the.
now it's kind of difficult and impossible to play. But if they release the remaster, it should be an amazing event. Um, and also I like Fortnite. I don't know, it's something very different but very interacting, and I can spend like an whole evening playing Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite's not. Like, yeah, I never really got into Fortnite or those sort of arena games. If I'm gonna play online, it will be just like regular COD, not Warzone or Halo, and mainly single player games. If I do get time now with family and kids, it's a bit difficult. But if I do, it definitely focusing on single player. I'm playing God of War Ragnarok right now. I've actually taken sidestep to that because Astrobot came out, so I'm playing that, really enjoying that game. But yeah, there's a lot of great games I'm in the middle of that I need to get through. What's your sort of console or platform of choice?
Um, I don't. I mean, I'm. I would like to say it's Xbox, but also I like to play on PC. I mean, I don't really have a PC to play for a very long time. I don't know, like 7, 8 years. But when I had it, I remember that I really liked it. And yeah, and now I have Xbox, and it's good enough. Let me put it like that.
Okay. And have you seen the recent announcement of the PS5 Pro?
Mm, no, not sure.
Okay, yeah, because they just announced it a couple of days ago, and me included, a lot of people are annoyed, especially with the price. It's $699 or 699, Great British pounds over here in the UK, because it's more expensive than the initial PS5. It doesn't come with a disc drive, and it doesn't come with a vertical stand as well. So it's like more expensive, and yeah, it's more powerful, but there's less, especially the disk drive. Once you factor that in, add in an extra $100 or dollars or 100 quid for that, you're looking at 800, which it's pretty crazy. It's interesting to see if Sony can get away with it. I mean, Microsoft seems to have gone down a different route with their Game Pass coming on like Fire Stick as well. You just plug that in, you can play it on that. So it'd be interesting if Sony can get away with this in terms of like.
Why would you need to buy a new Sony when I mean, the PS5 is actually pretty new. So the new Sony is not new generation.
No, no,
It's
no.
it's probably,
It's just a pro model. It's just because with
yeah.
PS4, I think 3 or 4 years later, the pro model came out. It's 4 years after PS5, so it's the same. It's the same sort of idea. Just it's a mid-cycle refresh. A few years later, everyone doesn't need it. It's only some people will buy it.
Okay.
So it's not like, oh, all new games. All the games will work on the original PS5. They still work pretty well. It is, how on PS5 and Xbox they have like a fidelity and a performance mode. Performance usually hitting 60 frames per second, and it not being 4K, maybe like 1080, 1440 with some sort of upscale, and fidelity, like quality mode, is 4K but 30 frames per second, and some ray tracing. What they're doing then with the PS5 Pro is basically give you performance and quality at the same time. So do the native 4K ray tracing whilst getting 60 frames per second, and they got some sort of AI upscaling on it, so we should be able to apply some of this to older games that haven't been made, updated accordingly.
Yeah. Speaking about the games, I recently had a chance to play with Meta Quest 3, and I was thinking about buying one because I know that there is not a lot of games on the VR yet, even though it was released. I mean, the technology was released, well, a couple years ago, but I think that it's very cool. I mean, I was playing in Oculus with the with my friends, and it's a like uh, virtual reality club or whatever. Just go there and play multiplayer games with a couple of people. I mean, it's not online, but it's like local network, which was pretty cool. But if you can play that home, yeah, that also might be interesting. But they
Yeah.
are also pretty expensive for something that you have like, I don't know, five decent games.
I mean, I think there's a fair few games on them. I've got yeah, Quest. I've got a Quest Pro and I've got a Quest 2 as well. I think there's a fair few titles out there. Obviously, it's not as broad as the library for something like, PSVR, or, obviously, no, not even PSVR, I mean like a regular console. But I think there's a lot of games, there. There's, the Vader Immortal Trilogy, there's the other Star Wars game, there's Beat Saber, there's Medal of Honor, there's a bunch of smaller ones, Climbed. There's a lot of stuff, and they have a subscription, service as well, like PlayStation Plus, where you can get free games every
Oh,
month, and that's not too bad as well. So I think there's a lot of content out there. I mean, again, I don't get much time to play, and definitely not VR, but I do enjoy it every time I do play it. I do want improvements more in the headset's comfortability. That's what I want more than anything else. I want a more comfortable headset that I can have on for 2 3 hours and not mind. I find 30 to 60 minutes for me. And it's not, again, it's not comfortability in the eyes, it's just physical comfortability on the face and on the
yeah,
head.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah, it just feels like once I take it off, like I'm taking off some sort of tight mask, and I'm just finally able to let my head and my face breathe now. So yeah, again, they're getting better. The headsets are, but that's one thing I would really want to see, improved.
but on the other hand, I don't really want to buy it because I know that I'm gonna spend more time playing video games than I do right now, and I'm trying to actually get back to riding bike uh, in a, let's say, sport mode. Yeah, so I'm trying to spend more time outside doing some sport activities or anything else and not play video games because even though it feels nice, it's not that good for your health as a sport.
Yeah, obviously, if you do that and don't do anything else, especially stuff that keeps you moving, that isn't, good either. Okay, as we get to, the end of, today's episode, the one, question that I always, love asking everyone, and this is actually my, my final question, is does money buy you happiness, and what does a good life mean to you?
No, money does not buy happiness, definitely. Um, and what is happiness to me? Uh, that's a hard one. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not what, it's probably how, because it's a parameter. It's a feeling. You cannot really um describe it. So. And it's definitely not outside. It's inside, and that's why you cannot buy that with money. I mean, the one thing you can buy with money, it's a good doctor, which will help you to stay happy for longer. uh, and maybe health food or anything like that. Because if you don't really have money and you eat junk food and you don't do any sports, yeah, well, that's too bad. But most of the things that make you happy are free.
Alex, love the answer. It's a great way to end today's episode. So I just want to thank you, Alex, for coming on today's episode of FireDEV. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank everyone else for tuning in into this week's episode of FireDev. I'll see everyone next week. Take care. Bye.